Rob Lewis, VolQuest.com, my colleague. What a night for Tennessee. Opening round of the NCAA tournament, 77-62 win over Wofford. That's what's supposed to happen. Tennessee didn't play bad in this game. I thought Wofford played really well, but story of the night, Chaz Lanier, 29 points in his first ever NCAA tournament game.
Yeah, I think some Tennessee fans were probably a little frustrated it didn't turn into a blowout, but I thought that said more about Wofford than it did about Tennessee. I thought Tennessee played a nice game, handled the environment. I mean, I thought the veteran aspect of this team really showed up. I mean, because even the top seeds, I mean, you'll see them, EC, in this tournament, they'll stumble out of the gates, be sloppy early. Offense is hard to come by, but Tennessee, I mean, I thought you could see the maturity, the experience of guys that have been here a lot, like Zakai, Jamai, showed up, from the jump. And, Wofford didn't let it turn into a blowout. But again, I think that said more about them than it did about Tennessee, because Tennessee was in control.
Yeah, Chaz Lanier, third highest point total ever for a Tennessee player in an NCAA tournament game. You have Zeigler, who passed the all-time assist record in Tennessee history, and a part of a 12-12 effort for him. What did Zakai do in this game to kind of, settle? I mean, I know it was a lot of Chaz as well, but to kind of settle down whenever Wofford continued to try to make a run there a couple times.
I just saw you step up, and I think a lot of what he did you didn't see on the court. Talking to Coach Barnes after the game, he indicated that some of Zakai's biggest contributions came during timeouts, came in the huddle, telling people, and I kind of got the same impression talking with Jamai Mashak after the game, asking Jamai, specifically, you hear about experience and all that, and where does it show up? And that's one of the things Jamai mentioned. It's like knowing to not panic and knowing, to stop runs. He said that's one of the biggest things about having been here before is, you just know to play your game. You don't get out of your comfort zone, and you have to respect how good other teams are. I mean, Wofford, I guess the biggest sequence for me, EC, Tennessee, it felt like it was about to be a blowout when it was 22-8. And then Wofford got two stops and hit two back-to-back threes, 22-14, totally changed things. But Tennessee, they never let him get any closer. I mean, I think they might have got it to 6, maybe at one point in the second half. But to my point, Jamai and Zakai, what a luxury to have those dudes. I mean, and you mentioned Chaz. Before last week against Texas, that dude had never been on a team that won a postseason game. North Florida was one and done. All 4 years he was there, the A-Sun tourney. So, if you thought he was going to press tonight, think again. He was fantastic.
Yeah, he was fantastic. He was great. And again, I thought Wofford played really well. You had a team that relied on the three. You had 4 guys who made over 50 threes in the season. 40% of their point total this year has come from three. And they shot 11 of 26, 42%. Given Tennessee's, best perimeter defense in the country, how do you think Tennessee did against the three, being Wofford's biggest strength?
Well, I mean, not great when you rattle off those numbers, but I also, wonder, what they were given, what they were kind of taken away to allow that. I mean, I didn't think Tennessee was great on the perimeter, but again, I'm not anxious to really discredit Wofford very much. I mean, I thought those dudes were gritty, and I know, Coach Barnes is always really respectful of opponents and stuff, but it wasn't lip service tonight. Tennessee staff was impressed with Wofford, with how tough they were, with how they, just the grit they showed.
Let's poke holes in the loss here, and I heard you say this.
It's easy.
We wouldn't be doing a service to Tennessee fans if we didn't poke holes to it.
Oh, they know who they are.
Post play, and and also Tennessee was kind of dominating the boards in the first half, and then you look up, and at the end of the game, I think each team had the same 31 rebounds apiece. What does Tennessee need to do to kind of rectify that a little bit in order to move on?
It's a little baffling. You see, I mean, the post scoring, the post offense. I mean, that's an issue, and it's going to be. I mean, Tennessee's not suddenly going to be able to dump it down in there and have a guy that's going to score 25. But the rebounding is concerning because it's not been an issue all year long. I mean, Tennessee was, I want to say they were 4th in the SEC in rebounding, like a plus 5 or 6. I mean, if you finish 4th in this conference in rebounding, I mean, you can handle your business in the paint. But they got punked by Florida. They got out rebounded in 2 of the last 3 games of the regular season. And Wofford, a Southern Conference team tonight that had no length, no athleticism on the inside, I mean, was right there with you. And, Jamai was the leading rebounder on the team tonight with 7. And that's, it's not going to cost you against Wofford. That's going to cost you. I don't know if it's going to cost you against UCLA, but it'll cost you sometime well before you get to San Antonio.
Yeah. And kind of on that note, moving on at the time of this recording, it's 68-47 UCLA over Utah State. I know you haven't dove into your preparation just yet. That's going to come later on Friday. But what do you know about UCLA, and what does Tennessee need to do or do better than they did tonight moving forward?
it's going to be two teams that are similar, but they're defensive oriented. But if you really kind of dig inside the metrics, UCLA doesn't give up a lot of points. I mean, they're really good in that regard, but also it's not because they are great, at field goal percentage defense or three. They slow the ball. They play slow. And that's really what it is. I mean, the advanced metrics do not love UCLA as a defensive team, but they're good in the paint. They've got great size in the middle. If you're watching Utah State tonight, they're wearing Utah State out in the paint. You'd hope Tennessee would be able to hold up a little bit better than that. But that, to me, is what it's going to come down to. I think Tennessee's going to have a big advantage, huge advantage at the guard spots in the backcourt with Zakai, Jemai, the leadership, with what you saw from Chaz tonight. But they're not going to be able to get dominated on the glass. Got to hold their own.
One other note out the door, and this is a quick turnaround, so I don't think it's going to be that big of a storyline, like if it were the first game of the tournament or leading into the Sweet 16 or so on and so forth. But Rick Barnes turned down UCLA 5 years ago, or whenever it was. Tennessee's going to play UCLA. Do you see that being a talking point for you or for the national media?
He will probably get asked about it, but I think there's been enough water under the bridge, and I mean he's taken Tennessee to a Sweet 16 and Elite 8. Since then. So, yes, somebody will ask him about it. Somebody will write it. That'll be somebody's angle tomorrow. But I doubt that it's going to be a big deal. Now, if it had happened last March, it would be a huge story. But I think enough time has passed, and it's probably a footnote to this game.
Rob Lewis, FallQuest.com, on site, 77-62, Tennessee over Wofford. Rob, thanks so much, man.
No problem, EC.